Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to do a DIY fix on our Bosch dishwasher to address the faded labels on the touch-sensitive buttons of the control panel. As you can see here, some of the buttons are completely worn away. And of course, we know which buttons do what from years of use, but it would still be good to have it look like new. Okay, so here's a comparison showing our faded dishwasher buttons along the bottom of the screen here on my two images. And the image across the top of the screen is what the buttons should look like when they're new. So as you can see, the on-off, the delay, and start labels are completely worn away. Now, fortunately, these buttons are really sensitive to touch, and I found that the touch sensitivity still works even when a clear adhesive label is placed over the button. So I picked up some of these glossy clear address labels and figured out with a little bit of trial and error what font and size to use to match the original labels on the dishwasher. I tried out a few different fonts and found that the 14-point Arial Narrow font is the closest, if not exact match for the main label text. As an aside, if you prefer a font that's a bit thicker, either make it bold, or you could use the Myriad Web Pro condensed font, which was a close second place. But overall, the Arial Narrow font was the clear winner in terms of matching the original text. Here's a test printout of the text in the 14-point Arial Narrow font using Word. I also drew a rectangular box with rounded corners to closely match the border for the on-off and start boxes. The boxes are about 1 inch wide by 5/8 inch tall as I measured them on the dishwasher. And I also figured out that the small reset 3 seconds text underneath the start label is a 7-point font. As you can see here, when I hold the test printout up to the buttons, they match really well. I'll fold it over here and you can see also the size of the box for the start or the on-off, as well as the text for the different labels. For auto, for example, I did bold that one. Heavy is just the regular font. All right, so let's put this on a template file so we can print some labels. These labels that I picked up happen to use the Avery template 6521, which you can download from Avery's website. They have it available for a number of different software packages, whether you're using a Microsoft product or an Adobe product, etc. So I copied the text that I had made here in one file over into the label template for the labels that I want to print out. So once you printed out the labels, just let them dry for a few minutes if you're using an inkjet printer like I am. And after these are dry, like these are, I'll cut out the printed portion, leaving a small amount of the clear label around the outside of each printed text portion before I stick it on the touch panel. And I'll do something like this for each of the remaining labels. Now that I've finished cutting these out, let's go put them on the dishwasher. Now I mentioned before you put any of these labels on, make sure you clean the panel, maybe with some Windex or light washcloth with something, just to get fingerprints and grease off. You may also want to get a pair of tweezers to help you hold and line up the stickers. And I'll just line it right up. And let's do the rest. Very careful here. Try to line that up. Just a little off center. May fix that later. Now with the labels applied to the panel, let's test out the buttons. As you can see, this actually works really well. Gonna hit delay and start. So depending on the type of printer you use, the ink may bleed off or smudge if you touch it with wet hands or with detergent. So I'm going to replace this one now, and to prevent it from happening again, I'm just going to place a clear label over the top of the one that I printed on to protect the printed ink. Okay, now I'm just going to lay a clear sheet of the label on top, like that. And that should protect it from wet and soapy hands. Okay, now I have the second clear sheet over each of the labels that I put on, and just to show you, this touch sensitivity still works, so that will help prevent the ink from smudging. So as you can see, this works really well. I hope that was helpful. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.